Right, it's a very, very hot day and I'm in Guernsey and I'm with a guy who's used to hot climates and he's a long-term friend, Spencer Gelsthorpe. How do I know you, Spencer?
Oh, it goes back a long time. We needed your help. I think we were having problems with the housing authority here. I believe that's what happened. I think, and I don't know who recommended that you might be able to help. And you certainly did help. It was brilliant. Yeah, you helped us a lot with that case. Unfortunately, people remember me now as a hero, but they hated me at the time. Because I'd taken, well, not I, but three of us, the three Gs, had taken, it was Terry Gent, Mr. Gillow, and me. Three Gs. We took the island to the, well, it would have been not the island, I suppose it would be the British government. Because they were doing things that were inhuman on this island, that they needed to be stopped. And it certainly was stopped, because fortunately we won, but because of Mike as well. We wouldn't have done it without Mike. Mike was there always guiding.
That was our political front, but we had another front as well. We had another front, and we were driving...
Oh, that's before.
That was before, that's how I got to know you. Then one day you said, why don't we all go down to the south of France? And that's when...
But to go ahead, we had a caravan there.
Right.
We had a caravan there, yeah. In fact, we had several caravans because we thought it was going to be a terrific little business, but it wasn't. Yeah, so we were driving down to the south of France
in a brand new Land Rover, right?
A Defender. No, it wasn't. It was a Land Rover. It was before the Defender. Anyway, it's a technical point, but it wasn't. It was a normally aspirated diesel.
Right.
And I'd been advised by somebody that had done an African trip. So we must have had the idea, possibly, we would like to go to Africa in this. Someday, maybe. But there's the people, these friends of ours from Norfolk, who'd done this journey lots and lots of times. And it's a 27, 28-week journey across Africa, starting from Morocco and then driving all the way down through the Sahara, etc. And he said, what I would do with this new vehicle, take it down to somewhere we can get on the beach. Well, we couldn't do it in Guernsey, where we're speaking from at the moment. But we thought about taking it down to the south of France. We could get on the beach easily there, let it run in the water for a few, and then let it dry, take it the next day. We did it for a few days. And hopefully tightening up all the bolts and the joints, all the things underneath, so that once you got onto an African road and it started boom, 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 they wouldn't fall apart. Oh. So that's, yeah, that was where we met,
but
going down there.
The thing I remember most is on that journey, you were hit by a inspiration. You said, why don't we use this Land Rover for a specific African project? And it was the rhinoceros, the rhino, wasn't it?
It was, yeah. It was
for some reason you'd encountered the rhino, or you'd become aware of how endangered they were.
Well, I think what it was, we'd already been to Africa then, and I think we were travelling through a place called the Masai Mara. Right. And we were charged by a black rhino.
Oh, were you?
Yeah. And when they charge, they come at you with their heads down. They're ready to hook you underneath. But we're in a Land Rover, so we managed to get away, and I never forgot that. And just thought that would be a nice project to take on.
And how many years ago are we talking now? How long ago was it we were driving down France? 20 years? More than 20?
More than that.
More than that.
May have been 31, 32 years.
30 years.
A long time
as
ago.
long as that. And it was the whole family was in that. I remember it was the whole family.
Yeah. We were young.
Yeah, indeed. And from that developed a thing which became the Project Rhino.
Correct. Yeah.
Which time's moved on. Janet's died, your wife's died. One of the trustees of the trust that was set up has died. It's time to change, time to move on things. But you're still active out there in Africa, doing good works.
Well, I don't think I can let it go, to be quite honest. I mean, I have a water project. This is the best thing I think I ever did. I managed to get sufficient funds to drill down a borehole in the Rift Valley. Now, anybody who knows anything about the Rift Valley knows that water is at a very deep position there. And we drilled maybe about, I think it's maybe 15 years old now, and we got beautiful, clean, sweet water. I can't let that go. I've got to keep hold of it.
And how many people is that serving? How many people does that
Oh,
supply?
it could serve on a day when probably we've got a drought and we haven't had water for days and days. It could serve maybe 3,000 people in a one day. And
So
we charge.
those people rely on that water supply.
They didn't at first, but they do now.
They do now.
Yeah, they do
Right.
now. Yeah, and we charge doesn't even cover the costs. We charge 2 shillings, which is around about 1.2 pence for 20 litres of water. And they come from miles and miles and miles around for that. And it's brilliant. That's our best project ever. The
And
school-
people listening to this will say, well, what's that got to do with rhinoceros?
Exactly.
It-
Why?
Well, you decided early on that the way to save the rhinoceros was you had to look after the people, if I remember rightly, the argument.
That's
and that's
perfectly true.
basically what you're still doing.
Yeah, because we couldn't compete with the likes of David Shepherd and other people that have got a lot of money to put into this. A lot of conservation organisations have got hundreds of people working for them, making a lot of money. We didn't have a lot of money. We used to balance, I think, ourselves on when we were really, really getting into the work. We managed to manage with maybe £10,000 a year. That was to build a school, build a dispensary.
And the school still exists.
School's still working perfectly. 750 children. They all get clean water every day. But to be quite honest, they've forgotten that now.
Yeah.
A lot of them don't know me.
No.
Most kids have gone on now. They're working. They've probably got their own kids. So most kids don't even know who I am now.
I mean, you used to have projects associated with this about growing soya and things like that.
Oh, we tried that. Yeah, that was good. Yeah,
Yeah.
but yeah. Well, we still grow a little bit. We still grow rosemary. We still grow maize. We still grow beans. But basically, the Africans will always laugh and say, "But you never meet them, do you?" I don't get them because they've eaten it first.
I mean, that was the idea, was to make them self-sufficient so they could produce the money of their own, be self-sufficient.
I think if we went back and tried to find all the people that have benefited from our being there,
Right.
there'd be a lot of people that would remember that. But people do forget. They've gone on.
And
to
you've put
things.
people through education in various levels.
Yeah. We've
Got
helped
the
people
medical care.
with business. Well, that's still ongoing. There's still people come for me if they just need a few shillings. In fact, one girl comes to me for money to get her young son, not her young son, her young brother, sorry, to hospital for antiretrovirals.
Right.
Both her parents died. One of them died in my Land Rover when I was taking her to hospital, and one of them died. I was taking him into hospital after he died. So I've known this family for a long time. This guy's doing well. He's managing on antiretrovirals, but she doesn't have the money to get him in there. Which we were talking about in our money, in Kenya money, I beg your pardon, in shillings. We're talking about probably maybe £2 she would like to pay for him to go to.
Where in Africa is most of your work now?
Mainly Kenya now.
Yeah.
Mainly Kenya. Yeah. Yes, but the Shamba is in Kenya. People may know of it. Lake Nakuru National Park, where the flamingos are well known. That's basically where we do. I still operate there, and that's where I've got most of my infrastructure. But I can't really leave.
You used to feed about 300 children every day. Is that still ongoing?
No, we did that occasionally. If there was, we'd get food.
Right. Does that still happen from time to time?
No, it's not happening now as much.
Is that because the
we used to.
situation's improved, or is it? It's not the structure.
I think people are getting more self-sufficient, so they're managing to plant maize and beans a bit earlier and think about it, and they've also got water, so that's not a thing they don't have to worry about. Mainly when we first started doing this project, the most important thing was them is to send their kids out to collect water from the nearest well, deep water by hand. So a lot of their time would be spent doing that. They couldn't spend time then putting potatoes in, or carrots or beans and maize. They can now because they know for a fact they don't have to worry about water.
Right.
There's always Mr. Spencer's got water.
Right.
And I think I've told
If
you
you're
lots of
not out there, you're in Guernsey today. If you're not out there, who runs the show? Is there anybody out there to say?
Yeah, we've got a young lady now. She's doing well. She's the daughter of the 2 people that died of AIDS, who is the sister of the boy that we paid for antiretrovirals, and getting him to the hospital. She's doing well as well. And I think people say to me, but she'll go the same way as everybody. She'll always maybe not do. Something will happen. Something will disturb the peace.
Right.
And it quite possibly could happen, but I don't think so, because I think she remembers me looking after her mum and dad. And she hasn't forgotten
If
that.
this has been, you've been involved out there for 30 years or 25 years or 20 years, a lot of those youngsters have grown up, they're adults now. Well, they must be successful, some of these youngsters who grew up, you were children when you met them. They've been supplied with water or they were in the shambas. And what has happened to them?
Well, the first thing, they move away to the towns,
Do they?
the cities. Yeah, there's nowhere where... what would they do? They'd just they'd grow a few crops, look after the sheep.
Who owns the land that they're sitting on?
They do. It was
They
given
own.
to them, the government. Every person in this area, it's called Lake Nakuru National Park, all were given 2.5 acres by the government.
Right.
But those 2.5 acres have been split up now because the mother and father had it, then the kids had a little bit,
right.
and their kids had a little bit.
That's a bit like Norman inheritance law, actually.
Yeah.
Not
yeah.
enough to go around. That's how it
To go
was.
around. It gets to a point where they can't have anybody else there.
Interesting,
but it
isn't
works.
Does it?
And they get on well at three generations. No, it's excellent.
Can they make a living out there as farmers? If you're established, you've got a few shillings, as I think they are.
They do make a living.
They make a living.
They make a living. They send their kids to school. They pay for hospitalisation. Yeah, they make a living.
They can succeed.
But they're probably hard working. When it's before it rains, they start planting crops. They're out in the fields at 5 o'clock in the morning, and they're probably there till 8 o'clock at night time.
Really?
Yeah, but they do manage, and some of them even have made money so they can buy a little bit more land. Yeah, it can work.
Do they keep cattle?
They do. Most of them have got a cow. Some have got 2. They've all got sheep. They've all got goats, and cuckoos, chickens.
Really? When you go back shortly, next week you go back there, what's your first task?
Oh, now this is a difficult one. Check on the house, see if it's okay. The house where I live. Find out who I owe money to.
Right.
There'll be somebody I owe cash to, that's for sure.
Right. Now, cash is something I want to... You've got a group of supporters here in Guernsey who give you small amounts of money to help you. But obviously, these projects, some of these you were talking about earlier on, a couple of £1,000 for a medical bill for one person.
Could
which
be.
you have to find.
Yeah.
Now, that's not easy to find, is it, these days?
That comes from me.
That comes from you.
That comes from my pension. But I don't scribble about that. I'm quite happy to do that, but I can.
If other people wanted to participate, they could.
Of course, yes, of course. We still have people that give money that goes into a medical fund.
Right.
Unfortunately, at the moment, that's having a few problems because of this new compliance law.
Well, this is the Jersey and Guernsey. They're reforming the charitable sector. I don't know. For small charities like yours, a few people involved, I think it's going to become very difficult. And this is partly why I'm talking to you. Can yours activity be restructured to suit?
It can. But I'm not getting any younger, so I don't know that I can do it, and I don't know anybody else would take over.
Right.
So I'll keep on going as long as I possibly can. But I don't know. I really don't know how it's going to pan out.
And how's it panned out for the rhinoceros, the original beast?
We're doing quite well. I think the park where I stay, we've got something like 67, I believe was the last count, 67 white. And I think we've got maybe about just slightly less black rhinoceroses. So they're doing well. I think we've had one incursion in the last 3 years. Unfortunately, this is Chinese operated.
Really?
Maybe wrong for me to say that, but it is the Chinese that are doing this. Not themselves, but with Africans.
Employing.
And we lost, we lost one rhino, a black one, unfortunately.
Did you?
Yeah, but they're doing well. They're doing
Have you got
okay.
any idea when you first got involved how many there were? Just to see the enormity of the downwards slope.
It would have been a lot more than that. Zimbabwe had a lot more, but they've lost a lot.
Have they?
Yeah, Kenya, it's just always kept about the same limits for some reason. I don't know why.
I mean, everybody in the world is aware now of the problem with animal loss all over the world, all species. I mean, they can't be not aware, can they? Is there anybody in Africa really championing this? The Africans
You'd have
themselves?
to have lived on the moon not to know, I agree. There's a lot of people championing, a lot of people are conservationists there.
Right.
But if you're doing it in any way at all, you need a lot of cash, to be quite honest. So we try and do it quite small. Look after the people that live within National Park, in the boundaries of Lake Nakuru National Park. They're always having problems with lions getting out of the park, leopards getting out of the park.
It's not
So-
like having squirrels at the bottom of your garden, is it? It's
at all, no.
lions and
But they're
animals.
they're a bit bigger.
That's right. So it is the reality of having to live with these animals, isn't it?
It is, yeah, it is. But I mean, we get leopards going through.
Do you?
Yeah, quite often they get through. Fortunately, I know the KWS people, and I can call a guy who's actually can capture them and put them back in the park. But then again, they might get chased by a warthog or whatever. It could be an old leopard, and it's obviously not at its best, but it can be chased by warthogs, it can be chased whatever. And the easiest thing for it to do is to get out under the fence, and then it's roaming around because it's scared then when it's outside.
I haven't covered half of the ground I wanted to discuss with you. I will put your address.
Am I
If
speaking-
they want to contact you, they can.
Yes,
If they want to give support, they
of course.
can.
Yes, everybody knows Project Rhino Charitable Trust in the Channel Islands.
Yeah, we might have to modify the name. It might be called Project Rhino.
We might have to do that if this is what compliance people say.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, they could do anything they like, so we'll have to just comply.
If people want to come out and meet you in Africa, would you
people,
welcome them?
People come out, yeah, I do welcome them. They come out all the time. They can actually see, and then they're ambassadors for us.
Okay.
Once they've been and seen what's happening, and the communities I live in, when some old lady will come along, she wants some water, she's got no money, but she knows Mr. Spencer has at the water project. She'll come and get water, and then she'll say, "Oh, hakuna pesa, Baba, hakuna pesa." And she doesn't have any money, so she'll take out an egg, and she'll pay with an egg. Water's 2 shillings, an egg is 15 shillings, and she wants 13 shillings to buy food for
That's
the night.
African shillings,
For
of
her, African shillings, of course, yeah. She wants the 13 shillings for food for her kids at night time because the parents have died. Yeah, so it's
A different world.
totally different world, yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
But a good world.
Perhaps you could send us back a video from Africa one day. Perhaps you could get somebody to...
How could I do that? I don't even have a telephone.
Well, you can find somebody out there for sure. Somebody...
Go to come and take it. Yeah, possibly.
Okay,
Yeah, I could look after them and give them food.
We'll stop there, but I'm most grateful.
You're very welcome. Thank you.